All right. So the day is finally here. Freaking ZBrush on the iPad, and let me tell you, it does not disappoint. So the thing that originally made me fall in love with ZBrush was these little incredible, quick to use little guys called ZSpheres. So let's just get going. This isn't rehearsed. This is just me doing my thing. Okay, I'm going to turn on symmetry over here, and I've got these tools along the bottom for ZSpheres: add, move, scale, rotate. And then this is a preview. This adjusts how deep the spheres are embedded, which is not super important. The default is good. But yeah, let's create, like, I don't know, a little dog or cat, some type of little critter. So this is basically building the mannequin, the skeletal system of whatever it is you're doing. Now, originally, on the desktop, you get a little indicator that tells you if you're in symmetry. See that? The little green thing? For some reason, it's not showing up on the initial go around, when you first have a new ZSphere. So that may be a bug, or it may be intentional, and I'm just not smart enough to know why. But so essentially, just start building this out. So let's say that's the head, that's the muzzle right here. We need to do a neck. So you can see it's doing two there. We don't want that. We want it to be right in the center. So it only creates one, because when you're in symmetry mode, it wants to obviously create two if it can. Another one. Okay, and you can, as you're rotating, or you can use your finger to navigate, and then hold down this little finger button. It'll snap to a view, which is handy. And then I'll just start grabbing these things. But, I'm not going to talk about every little thing I do here. We want it to be fun and loose, and not just me talking the whole time. So, but there's no right or wrong way to do this, per se, because it's super forgiving. You can go in, add new extensions, new little stops in your character, and I'm kind of forgetting what it is I'm even making here, and so therefore got some weird long neck thing going. But again, these things can be changed. Now, I know a lot of you maybe were introduced to sculpting with Nomad, and that's fine. That's a great tool, and you may be more comfortable with that. ZBrush definitely has a learning curve to it, but if you're coming from ZBrush and you want ZBrush on the iPad, then this is for you over Nomad, in my opinion, because that describes me. Like I mentioned, I've been using ZBrush since 2009, and that was around the time the iPad first came out, I believe. And I remember thinking, what we need? A ZBrush on the iPad. But at that point, at that time in history, if any of y'all were around, you know that the iPad was a little more than a toy. There was no Apple Pencil. It was slow at, art-related stuff. And so we knew it was far out. Didn't realize it was going to be 15 years far out, but thankfully we've had things like Nomad to toy around with in the meantime. But I can tell you, I am super happy with how responsive and fully fleshed out ZBrush is on the iPad. So far, I've just played with it a little bit, but it seems fully functional. I mean, there is nothing missing as far as I'm seeing from the desktop version. They've enhanced the UI, made it cleaner. I know they released a brand new version of the desktop as well yesterday. Haven't opened that up yet. It'd be interesting to see if they're, working some of this UI into that already. I don't know. This is optimized for touch stylus type of scenario, so can't say, that I want this exact UI on the desktop. I'll leave that to the people who are building it because, I've been pretty happy with ZBrush over the years. Now we're getting to where it's grabbing both ZSpheres here, and I just want to move one of them. So you can go to your menu, change the size so that you're just grabbing one, and then that should do the trick. Maybe not. Oh yeah, there we go. And then be careful, because if you're grabbing the joint, you're going to move everything below it, which sometimes is definitely what you want. But right now, that's not what I'm looking for. So, snap it a snap. And you might be thinking, okay, this is cool, but how do we get to sculpting on this thing, right? Well, hold your horses here. I will show you very shortly. We're getting close to having this initial build out. But what's nice is you can preview what the sculpted version is going to look like. You just hit on this little icon, and that's a fairly large mesh, or low density. That's what I'm looking for. So you can change the density and see how it smooths that out. And then you could hit make adaptive skin, and then it's editable or sculptable at that point. Right now, we're just in preview mode to see how it's coming along, because basically all we're creating right now is our base mesh. There's a lot we can do, and that's the beauty of creation. Art creation is there is 100 different ways to skin a cat, pun intended, and you do you. I'm showing you one way, which is the ZSpheres way, and I don't do this every time, but if I know what I want to create, and I am thinking it out, and I'm not just kind of in exploration mode, then a lot of times I will go the ZSpheres route. So, trying to get a hold of this sphere, and you can see how it disappears there. That's because we've got like too many spheres in one area, and they double up on themselves. And so you're not going to get it perfect at the ZSphere stage. Like, the neck on this cat is too long, and yes, I decided I'm doing a cat. See how it's scaling everything below? That's not what I want. So it should be, yeah. See, I was on the skeletal system, and so that's why I was doing that. But if you just want to scale the ZSphere itself, then you got to make sure you're just hovering over that. Whoops, that one. Better go to move. So this is going to be a cartoony, exaggerated features cat. Let's see the preview again. Okay. It's looking good. And with anything art related, got to be constantly telling yourself, like, trust the process. Because if you get too concerned in these early stages, you're gonna give up. You're gonna get burned out. You're gonna say, "Hey, this looks like crap. Maybe I don't know what I'm doing, and I shouldn't even be making a video on this thing because it is so crappy," right? But no, I'm good enough. I'm smart enough. Doggone it, people like me, right? Old Stuart Swally reference for all you Gen Xers and elder millennials. Saturday Night Live, circa 1994-ish. Whoops. So you can see I'm not looking at any reference, like what does a cat look like. I'm just going off of the image in my head of what a cat is, and guaranteed there's some problems. See how I wanted to move that whole leg back? Grabbing that joint up here helps me do that. I was trying to, like I mentioned, I'm going stylized, but at the same time, I want it to be not too stylized. It's got to be somewhat recognizable. Yeah, okay. And there are a couple of major features of a cat that I'm missing that will hopefully start to sell this idea of this being a cat. Like the tail, for example. Once you have a little nub there, you can pull it out further. That might be the way to go. And then add segments in between if you want to bend it a little bit. So let's see what that's looking like. Kind of. So again, this is the base mesh, and actually this is too high of a density for me because I'm going to be moving around, changing it a lot. So yeah, let's go with that. Dynamesh 0. Okay, one more key feature that we need for the cat. That is some ears, right? Important to note that ZSpheres, isn't necessarily the best tool for ears, but that's okay. We're just getting a rough shape here. And actually, I'm going to add some mask to start to create some cheeks. There we go. It's starting to feel like a cat, right? Cartoon cat. There you go, folks. We're done. Congratulations. You've created a cat. Yes. No, but seriously. Let's keep moving forward. So we're in preview mode. We're going to hold that down. We're going to hit make adaptive skin. It's creating adaptive 3D skin up here. And now we should be able to start sculpting on it, right? Wait a minute, it's still ZSpheres. What is going on, folks? This was one of the things that kind of threw me for a loop initially in my ZBrush life, but when you create things, you change from one stage to another, ZBrush likes to be as non-destructive as possible. So it basically created that as a tool. So what I'll be able to do here is click on layer, and I want to add a new layer, and it's going to bring up my tool. So see, you can see here's the ZSphere version, the one that we have up now that's editable. And then here's a skin ZSphere version. So click on that. We've added that in. We still have the ZSphere on a separate layer. I'm just going to go ahead and delete that. It's going to give me a warning. You sure you want to do that? Yep. Okay, now I got all my sculpting tools here. We're good to go. Make sure you're in symmetry mode. We got that on. And then, usually the next step is a combination of, the move brush for me and this clay buildup brush. And I probably don't want to stay in this low resolution, low density mesh for too long, just because there's, not a lot I can do at this stage. But a good rule of thumb is, do as much as you can do at these lower stages, because that'll just help with topology and all that stuff, which was, more important in the days before Dynamesh. But I'm just going to do our thing here. So I like my cats a little plumpier, a little more plump, is that the right term? So I'm going to bring down some snaggle stomach, or whatever you want to call it. And, we're not going to bring this sculpt to, a stage where it's ready for the big screen. We're just doing a Z sketch at this point, just to kind of give y'all an idea of my process, or process that I think works fairly well for sculpting, and that via ZSpheres. And so, here I am using this inflate brush when I thought I had the move brush. So I was wondering why it was acting a little differently, but it was maybe a happy accident. You can see a lot of these little on-screen buttons do different things. Like when you're rotating the screen, you hold down this top button, it snaps it to view. But if you're hovering over your model and you hold it down, then it's going to go into smooth mode, and it gives you all these different smoothing brushes that you can change to. So super nice. Took me a minute to figure out which one was smooth, even though that icon, could be smooth. I just saw it as the rotate snap tool. So that was me. Just talking and sculpting. These big, sick, cartoony kind of features. And I'm going to change this around and massage it 100 times, maybe not in this video, but before all is said and done. That's just how it is. That's the whole trust the process thing that I alluded to earlier. And again, we're getting as far as we can at this stage, because not only is it, good practice from a topology standpoint, like I mentioned, but it's also good from a creativity standpoint, because you're forcing yourself to keep things more simple and not just relying on, more density, more topology to get your shapes. It's amazing how much we're able to move this around, and it's really starting to look like a cat. I know y'all were worried earlier on, right? Be honest, you were like, all right, this guy, there ain't no way these ZSpheres are going to become anything even close to a cat, right? But another good thing about this low topology approach is, if your iPad is a little older, and then this is going to be easier on it, right? Rather than high mesh stuff. I am sporting the latest, greatest M4 iPad, so, it's handling things really well, so I can't say, how this would work on a lesser machine. And don't feel bad, if you've got a lesser machine. I mean, a lot of times it forces us to do things that are better, I think. It's cool that we can do multiple buttons here for different features, masking and holding down stuff. 2 buttons with 1 finger will get you some different stuff, but I digress. I'm trying to, this is what I'm looking for, is my different slicing stuff, because what I like to do is slice off the bottom of the feet to make it nice and clean. So let's see if this one's the right one. See that shadow on the top there? That's going to slice everything above it. So we want to go the other way. So I'm going to start from this side. Okay. And you might say, well, nothing happened. Well, actually it probably did. Did we get a slice? No. Okay. All right. Nothing happened. What am I doing here? Must be the wrong tool. Let's try this one. Trim curve, yeah. What? Mesh is component, multiple subdivisions. Okay. Got to look at what you're doing, I guess. So do we have multiple subdivisions going on right now? So let's go to geometry. Should tell us subdivision levels. Oh, see, we're on level 2. Say if we were on 1, we'd be okay, but I think we need to be level 2. And so I'm going to delete the lower level. Okay, so now we're good. Now these tools will work for me. See, we're learning together. We'll just make sure I'm snapped. Whoop, snapped. Snap. Press both of these buttons. Get that curve. Boom. Like butter. Look at that. Completely flat. Which, that's really nice to make sure you're on the same plane, as well as, if this is meant to be 3D printed and it's going to stand on a desk, you have it flat like that, then it's going to come out real clean. All right. So that was probably too early to flatten those feet out, but guess what? Doesn't matter. You can do you. And I wanted to show you how to do that. If you want to maintain the flatness of these feet, then you want to snap to different views like I'm doing here. So now I'm moving things around. It's only moving in like the XY axis here, or ZX. I can't remember what ZBrush's axes are, but doesn't matter. Okay, let's say that that's good for this stage. So different ways to get more geometry. You could do Dynamesh, which is down here, but I'm going to go ahead and subdivide. And so I'll go to geometry, hit divide. See, that's already given me more to work with. That's kind of like non-destructive. I can go back down to the lower level and work at that level if I want. Dynamesh is important, if you don't start out this way, or maybe you're getting towards the end and you really need, you've stretched some areas too much and you need some consistent geometry. But, okay, so now we've got the buildup brush, clay buildup, and if I just start drawing on here, it's set to Z add right now, okay, which is going to add to the model. If I hold down this plus minus button, it's going to do the opposite of that. So now I'm digging in, creating some little eye sockets. All right. Start to get some cat features going here. This is still pretty low density, so probably not going to stay here for too long either. Trying to do this fast, trying to just get you something to work with, something to say, hey, I see where that guy's going. Is it going to win any awards? No. Is it the fastest sculpt we've ever seen in our lives? Probably not. But will it help me get a video out sooner? Yes, definitely. That is the key at the moment. And you could, massage this so much. Did you see how I moved the feet unintentionally there? I thought I did, yeah. So what could you do to ensure that doesn't happen? Because, you could snap to a view and this is definitely in front of the feet. That's fine. You could do some kind of masking, and the way you would do that is this little button, that's your masking. Okay. And so I could mask these areas like so, because this is the area I want to work on. So I want to protect everything else. And then you could invert the mask, which is just holding that down, tapping outside. So now, when I'm moving stuff around, it's only going to do it in the masked area. So look, I've got the feet underneath. I'm trying to move them. It's not moving, just the masked area. So that's pretty sweet. You want to get rid of the mask, you can just draw kind of a square outside. See that? To deselect, or you do that same thing to select everything. Or no, just tap once. Tap. Okay. You got it. Whatever. Some combination of that kind of stuff. But, you have different applications, different tools that we use as artists, designers, sculptors, whatever you want to call yourself. This is that application where I can get lost in it forever. I mean, there are a few of those, but I'd have to say none more than ZBrush. Have you noticed how, I'm staying in this general area. I don't have to jump around the UI too much. I think they did a great job at placement of things. Again, if you are a Nomad user, you might be frustrated with it for a little while. But I can guarantee you that ZBrush is the junk. And ultimately, if you make the change and give yourself time to learn it, it's going to be more powerful and you're going to go farther. Have the ability to kind of do more. But that's just one guy's opinion, I guess. And honestly, I mean, I've used Nomad a lot, but I'd get frustrated with it because it's not ZBrush. And so I'd always feel like, all right, I wish I could be using ZBrush. And so I would just go back to the desktop to do serious sculpting, right? But there are others who started with Nomad. They've learned the little workarounds or whatever and have created, followed artists who that's their jam and they learn what they need to learn and they do good stuff, right? So in the end, the most important thing is the artist's eye, right? What do you want to create? What indeed? So, yeah, I'm definitely guilty of that. Like, hey, give me this new tool and I can do anything just like that other guy I saw on YouTube. And so, of course, I'm not as good as I could be because I don't have the best hardware or the best software. And so once I get that, then I'll be unstoppable. But what I've found is, no, tools are important, but it should just be a matter of maybe they can speed things up for you. But as far as the end result, there's people out there that could take Microsoft Paint and create something absolutely insane and beautiful. And someone with Procreate or Photoshop without the patience or skills, wouldn't even come close. So it's not a tool. And sometimes the absence of tools, which, hey, that might be an argument for Nomad. Sometimes the absence for tools helps you be more creative, right? All right, so we're at a place where I'm pretty happy with this little guy, except for maybe his inside thigh on his back leg there. This is a healthy cat. He's going to have some thunder thighs, right? All right, so even here I could say, hey, isn't that cool? Go ahead, 3D print that. You've got a little thing that you built, but I'm going to show you a couple more things here. So let's add another shape. We're going to add a sphere. We have the sphere layer selected. Okay. We're going to go to our gizmo tool here and scale that down. So what we're building here is one of the eyes of our cat. So again, this is cartoony character, so the eyes, going to be a little different. Maybe I'll stretch them. This isn't obviously super realistic, but that's because it's not supposed to be, So we get that one eye essentially where we want it. And then we go back to layer. Go ahead and duplicate that layer. So now we have two of them. And then with one of the layers selected, got to make sure we don't have local symmetry turned on. And then we want to go to our menu, deformation, and then mirror on the X. There we go. So now we close that. Hold on. Tap out here. So now we've got two eyes, but they're both on separate layers. So I'm going to select the top one, go down to merge, merge down. Okay, skip. Now it's on one layer, so that's good. But now we want to turn on symmetry. Okay. So now if we make any changes, it's going to reflect it on both eyes. Yeah, well, it's almost. So I'm sure there's a way to select the mesh on the fly. There it is. Okay, hold down the plus button, and then you can select the different subtools without having to go to your layers. Oh, there you go. So now that we have eyeballs in place, now it's a matter of building up the flesh around the eyes so that they look like they're meant to be there. And I can already tell that I need more geometry. So we're going to go ahead and switch over to Dynamesh. And to do that, first I'm going to go to geometry, going to delete the lower, going to hit Dynamesh. I'm going to hold it down so I can choose my resolution. I don't know if 128 will be enough. Let's see. Hit Dynamesh. Looks pretty good. See, there's this polish option. At this stage, I wouldn't mess with that. And then if we click on this view, kind of shows us our wireframe now. And you might wonder, why are there all these different colors, these different polygroups? Well, that's because of us building it in ZSpheres, which is actually, a whole nother deep dive lesson. But you can mask by polygroup. You can do other things that will make editing at the later stages that much easier. So definitely something to look at. Now I'm just smoothing our little guy out because it's got higher mesh, so it can handle the smoothing option, getting rid of some of that faceting from the Dynamesh process, going from lower mesh to higher. Whoops. Started drawing onto the surface. So not necessary at this stage, but that's how you do it if you wanted to do it. Okay, so got a much smoother guy. We can start to get more serious about sculpting some detail. And again, I'm going to focus more on the face here because, don't got all day. I got to get back to my client work. But I'm excited about this tool. Wanted to make time to put it through its paces, if you will. And today is the day. So I decided. I have a tendency of making weird, creepy looking things initially, because sculpting maybe puts too much detail. So we've got all these brows, and wrinkles that start to appear, and we lose the cartoon factor very quickly. So it's a constant battle of adding geometry and detail without losing your vision and creating some weird, unattractive character that doesn't look good or isn't what you set out to create. Look, we'll give him puppy dog eyes so that he's even more adorable, right? Look at me. Give me some lasagna. That was dumb. But you can see, with just a couple of taps of the stylus here, we're really making some major changes. And again, this is why you have to trust the process and not be too worried about it, because it's easy to be like, all right, I set off in the wrong direction, I've got the wrong shaped eyes, I should have made different proportions. Whoops, sorry, I hit the camera. Should have made different proportions, whatever. But you just gotta tell yourself, you know what, don't worry about it. Maybe I will play with the eyes, right, at this stage, because that is possible to do. And there we go. There we go. It's looking more cartoony. His eyes are really coming forward out of his head. And before I can do too much detail, if you'd want to add more detail by re-dynameshing potentially at a higher level. So you lose the balance between doing the right amount and driving yourself crazy trying to get shapes that aren't possible at this stage. And if you were making game assets for some handheld thing, then maybe, you probably would want to stay at a smaller size, or maybe you're creating normal maps, then you're going to have a higher version as well. So then you would want to go through all this using the H polished brush, which is nice to simplify forms, bring out the different planes. And again, I can get lost in the sauce on this stuff. No question. Good. Some of these cheeks that would be in the skeletal, the skull of a cat, be it cartoon or not. That's important. We can build on top of that to make it a healthier or less healthy cat. And by healthy, I mean fat. This is definitely one of those times, again, where you were making good progress. You went from a little wonky looking skeleton of ZSpheres to something that had some form, and we were just bringing in high level forms. And now we're at this place where this thing's starting to look weird, and gonna take a bit to get one's confidence back, right? And if this were a serious sculpt for realsies, this would be about the time where I would look up some reference, get an idea. What are some of those cat features that I'm missing that would really start to sell this thing? Is it the nose? Is it the snout? Yeah, is it too long? Is that making it feel less cat-like? I'm gonna say, yeah, maybe. And then looking at it from these different angles, does that look like the profile of a cat, even a cartoon cat? Yeah, maybe, So does it need more weight on the back of the head? Are these eyes just wrong? Are they too simple? All these things that we ask ourselves when creating. You can see I'm starting to stretch some polygons. So at this point, with my Dynamesh on, I can hit mask and then draw a shape, and then that'll execute Dynamesh again. So it's subtle, but it's a beautiful thing. So much better than jumping through, hitting different menus inside of those other apps out there. Right? That's right, ZBrush, they do it right. We had Forger for a while that Maxon bought, and I'm sure they had their reason behind that. Maybe it taught them some stuff, or just helped eliminate one of the competitors. But that was nothing. So if you're like, oh, Forger was Maxon, and now we have ZBrush, which is Maxon, technically. Is it just another forger, but with the ZBrush name, and I would say definitely not. This is ZBrush. Like I said, it has everything, and I find myself thinking like, oh man, where did they hide this tool? How do I do that? Well, okay, how do I do it on the desktop? Is it a keyboard shortcut? Is it in a menu? What's the equivalent here? Let's just try that. So I've been able to very quickly get a good handle on where things are different. And let me tell you, it's few and far between. It's more similar than it is different, and it's predictable, the differences. So now I'm using the damn standard brush. I love saying that. Short for Damien Standard. And he's a longtime ZBrush artist who made a better version of the standard brush. And that was what you did. You purchased ZBrush, installed it, but then you went to the internet and downloaded the Damien Standard brush because it was such a game changer. And then, I don't know if Damien just gave the brush to Pixelogic, the makers of ZBrush at the time, or if he got paid. Hopefully he got a little something. But back version 3 or 4, it started showing up as, built-in brush inside of ZBrush. I keep hitting this camera. Dang it, I'm sorry. Come on, my time is running out here. I told myself I was going to spend no more than an hour. And we're definitely on the second half, the latter half of that hour. So it's time to try to make some decent progress and ensure that I cover the things that I needed to cover in this intro to iPad, ZBrush on the iPad. Little video. Alright, he's starting to look like a happy, cartoonish looking cat. Still not 100% happy with those ears. Or the eyes, for that matter. Or the cheeks. But even at this stage of the sculpt, you can see, making major changes, which is great. And later on in the process, I'd probably create kind of some fur patterns, and you can do that a bunch of different ways. I like to use the clay buildup and just kind of pretend like I'm combing this cat and doing different overlays, and then you can see it starts to give us some fur filling patterns. And then, that's even more visible at the higher density levels of the model. And so just kind of don't want to spend too much time, because when I Dynamesh this again, I'm going to lose a lot of that. It's just to kind of, at this stage, just to kind of test the sculpt here. Is it looking essentially how I want it to look after I start adding things like fur? But yeah, you can see come together pretty quick. Not going to be as much fur, long fur anyways, on the actual face. So keep that in mind. Oh man, you know how the internet loves cats, so I'm expecting this video to get shared like crazy by all y'all, right? Look at this cute little cat and stuff. I know it's more creepy than cute, but just do a bro a favor. And if you're liking where this is heading, you want to see, the process to really finish this guy, take him all the way, then, give me a like, give me a comment, give me a follow, and then that'll tell me, hey, people like this kind of content. I'm going to do more of it, right? Or tell me in the comments, I can take it. Bro, your cat sucks. It's never going to be anything. Just give up now and go back to your PowerPoints. Right? Go back to your freaking PowerPoints. And I'd say, it's painful to hear that, but I appreciate your honesty. And, I wish that I could have, created a better cat for all y'all, and that you would have been happier. That tail kind of looks like a dog's tail, but that's all right. And I wish you wouldn't say such hurtful things, because I'm a people too, but I would respect it. And I would probably do less of these videos. And so you would succeed in tearing a guy down. But I would still be using the ZBrush. And maybe one day, one cold day in hell, I would pull myself back up out of the ashes and try again and say, hello, internet peoples of the world. Is this better? Will you now give me the coveted likes and follows that help to give me purpose as an online content creator and show me that I am worth something? Oh, how I covet your benevolence with regard to liking, sharing, and following my content, right? Wow, this is getting ridiculous now. I apologize. I'm lost in the sauce over here and don't know where to go, and so I'm talking crazy talk, like a crazy person talking to myself, right? But, based on how long the head was taking me, you're probably surprised that this has somewhat of a halfway kind of finished look to it now, right? Definitely not finished. Like to do more with the eyes and everything. So maybe we'll do that. Probably the best way to do that in the world of ZBrush is to create some more spheres. And if these eyes shapes were more spherical, maybe I would just duplicate them, but let's do it this way. Add a sphere. I'll do this quick. Gonna grab our big sphere guy, bring it forward, scale it down, and basically we're gonna use this as a subtraction tool, for Boolean. And just like the eyes, let's just get it generally in the right position. Go back to our layers, hit duplicate. Okay, we've got it duplicated. Go here. We want to go to deformation, mirror. Boom, it's mirrored. We want to, back in subtool mode, merge this down, merge down. Okay. Now they are both one. We want to hit mirror. Now when we do one, we do the other. Okay. We want to turn on live Boolean. Want to go to the layers. And then we're going to hold this layer down and go to Boolean process, subtraction. Okay. And there we go. You can see it's subtracting every other visible tool right now, or layer. But yeah, ZBrush calls each layer or each piece of geometry a tool for some reason. So in there, once I have like general iris shape and in the position where I want it, then I can create the Boolean mesh. And before I do that, you want to hide the stuff that you don't want to be part of that. So I'm going to hide the body. Basically just want to create these eyes with the subtraction. So we'll go back to, live Boolean. No, we go to this layer here. And then Boolean. Okay, and we say make Boolean mesh. Okay, and it's doing its thing up here. And then, again, just like with that on the outset, with ZSpheres, we are not seeing it, so we need to add it. And here it is, these U-mesh eyes. We can go ahead and delete these other eyes. Okay. And then unhide this, and now look at that. Our cat has something that looks more like an eye, right? And you could do another subtraction to, get rid of the area that would be pupil as well. But I just wanted to show you that. And rather than going through that process again, I'm just going to carve in, and again, new mesh, make sure it's on mirror. But yeah, I'm just going to carve in a messy looking pupil. Because this is just a sketch at this point. We could turn off symmetry for a minute, do like a little reflection looking thing. It may have been a mistake. Yeah, that was a mistake. So let's see. Digital world undos. Love it. All right. You get the idea. We can try different materials. See how it's looking. Right now it's a white color. We want us an orangey looking cat. Okay. And everything's orange right now. But if I go to the layer and I select the cat and I hit this little brush, now it's kind of baking what's there. So, now I haven't tried this yet, but back in the regular ZBrush, there's ability to kind of, fill the whole thing with color. Okay, fill color. Boom. See, I told you. And so now that's going to stay orange. So now I can go click on the eyes, and we're going to change those to white. Okay. And now we can go to our layers and hit brush. They were already white. So I don't really need to fill that color. But if I wanted to, I could paint in colors in the eyes. And so to do that, you want to make sure to turn off your Z add so you're not adding anything. We just have our paintbrush happening. And then we're going to pick an eye color. Oops, that's wrong. Eye color. Grab like a green. And then we're still mirroring, right? Should be able to, in theory, there should be painting, right? Hello? Hello? All right, what am I doing wrong? Well, it seems I might have to do a little bit of research to figure out why that's not painting. Let's try this again. Let's fill the color with white. Fill color. Okay, it's white. Now let's try to paint on it. Huh, still not doing it. Well, that is something to look into. But at least we have an orange cat. And it's a little harder to tell which one's selected now. But if I do Dynamesh again, let's see what it does. Yeah, smooth everything out a little bit. Like I said, we lose some of that detail. I want to make sure to save this little guy. I'll just call it cat, something real creative. And I will try to figure out the painting functionality. But this guy could be exported, as a 3D model, which is beautiful. Get that 3D printed somewhere. So, hope you enjoyed that and learned something. Till next time.